Hey. Hey, fam. It is your girl, Michelle Franklin, Miss Michelle Allen Franklin, Miss Michelle D.I., Miss Community Builder. All of the things I am and more. Who are you in this world, honey? What you out there doing? Who are you in this world? Thank you for joining me again. It is Wednesday, May the 17th. And here we are again, Reflections Choosing Me Guilt-Free. Faithwalk Day 17. Why Faithwalk? What is this Faithwalk? What is it? What is it? What is it? Faithwalk is and was inspired by my nephew. My nephew passed away last month. And when I went to visit my brother, that very first time that I went to visit him, because of course I've gone multiple times, but that very first drive back, you know how people are in situations. And for me, I'm a fixer. And since I was a young girl, I've always been able to say something to my brother, fix stuff for my brother, help him, you know what I mean? And in this situation, I wouldn't be able to do anything, right? All I could do is just wrap my arms around him. I just wanted to go and wrap my arms around him because that's all you can do. It was this helplessness that I was feeling. And driving back that first time, before any information and all the stuff, just trying to figure things out, and you always ask why, and then you ask, Lord, what can I do? And it's a 4-hour drive. And so in that 4-hour drive, the Lord kept giving me hopelessness, that there's a hopelessness out in the world that is overwhelming, right? It's so consuming. In the midst of darkness, it's so loud, right? In our situations, we just feel sometimes that there's no way out of things. And so there's a hopelessness that exists. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so it just so happened. I don't believe in coincidences. That's Michelle D.I. I mean, some people may say it just so happened. I'm saying it was God's divine intervention, honey. That's what the D.I. stands for, because I don't believe in coincidences. Only God's divine intervention in our lives. And so I think that it was a very divinely timing, a very divine timing on God's part to give me this, because I said, you know what, for the month of May, I'm going to just share, because what combats hopelessness is faith. That's what God gave me, for the people that are still here on this side of heaven, to understand, if you just tap into your faith, right? If you could tap into it. And some people are like, I ain't never done that. I don't know what that is. I don't believe that. There's some left brain people that think with the left side of their brains is and nothing wrong with that, right? Because we're all different. I always say that means it's time to start shifting your mindset, right? To do something different, to think of it in another way. Yes. And that's what we're doing. We're shifting our mindset. We are thinking about it another way. For all you left-brained people that need something tangible, that need something strategic, it's got to be the numbers. It's a science. It's them people that's like, it's the Big Bang Theory. Remember those people, back in the day, they used to say, oh, no, there's no God. There's only, the world exists because of the Big Bang Theory. Remember that? No judgment. I'm just saying. Now it's scientifically proven that, there is some more out there. There is some extra. There are some spiritual realms out there. There are some that we are spiritual beings here having a human experience. And where did all that come from? Yeah. And so it is, if you don't believe, it's okay. Like, that's okay. This is not like, oh my God, you got to be a Christian and you got to be a whatever. You got to do it nothing. Honey, you just have to tap into what feels good for you. And for me, it is if you've been doing whatever you've been doing and it's not working, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. Honey, tap into it and see what happens. Look, try it. You might like it. That's Joe Gabba Gabba. If any baby got any babies in the house, Joe Gabba Gabba, try it. You might like it. Shout out to Yo Gabba Gabba, honey. I used to love that show. Talking about stepping outside the box. So that's how Faithwalk was created. It was, in the thought of the helplessness and God giving me that word hopelessness. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get on every day and I'm going to talk about my faith. And I'm going to talk about, the things for me that affected my faith and that still affects my faith the most is when I've been in crazy situations. I call it situationships. Crazy relationships, or even when it's been great relationships and they've just come to an end for whatever reason. Unforgiveness. Times that I've had some people in my life where, some people can come and go. And then there are others that, it affects you a little bit more. And so we're going to talk about unforgiveness and forgiveness this month, right? And then what we're in right now is our finances, honey. When my money is funny, I'm feeling some kind of way about it. I am. I could not lie about it. I'm so much happier when I can, see something and buy it. And even not just for me, because 9 times out of 10, I'm not even buying for me. I'm buying for somebody else. I am a giver. And so I love having money to be able to give for people. I'm like, I saw this. Let me get this for, oh. And when I see something and I don't have the money to get it, I'd be like, I hate waiting for stuff. Do you know yourself, y'all? Do you know what you like and what you don't like? Do you know yourself like that? Do you know yourself enough to know, what are some things that make you feel some kind of way? Those are the 4 things, And so because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, because your girl has had a little tango, y'all. That's what I call it, a little tango, a little love affair. Was, how you had those bad things, those bad people that just be hanging. You be hanging with, you ain't supposed to be hanging with them. That was me. I call it a love affair. I'm a monogamous kind of girl, but it was all over the place. I was hanging with depression. I was hanging with anxiety. I was hanging with panic attacks. I've been hanging with PTSD, y'all. It was a polyamorous love affair. That's what I'm calling it. A polyamorous love affair, honey. I didn't even know I was having it, y'all. And so that is why your girl is even on this journey as Miss Community Builder. That is, I am giving you the information that you need, honey, to navigate the crazy, right? When you see Romans 8:28, kind of girl, that means I believe that the good, the bad, and the crazy, all that unprocessed trauma from your childhood, yeah, contributing to your depression and your anxiety. That stuff that mama and daddy and them didn't do, said, that uncle, that brother, that cousin, somebody that touched you in a problem, yeah, all those things, yeah. That ACEs score, adverse childhood experience, all of those things, yeah. Your girl is here bringing information. That is what I do as a community builder. I bring you the information to help you to navigate, honey. Help people to navigate while you're on this side of heaven. Yes, those subconscious waters, honey. Sometimes this tumultuous waters. Your girl is from Baltimore. I was raised in Bmore, but I live in Texas. I've been in Texas. I've come to Texas my whole life. So you're gonna say, where's this girl from? I got a little city in a little country, honey. Sometimes when I'm talking, you're gonna hear all of it. It's gonna all come out. So just stay with me. Stay with me. Because as soon as I said water, water, I wanted to say water. In Baltimore, you say water. In Texas, they say water. I say it all. Depending on who I'm talking to and just how it comes out. So stay with me, honey. The country is going to come out, but you gotta love me alone, honey. That's who I am. Ain't no shame in none of it, baby. A little country and a little city. That's what I am. A little Larry Allen and a little Lily Ann Brown, baby. That's what it is. So we have been that's how we got to Faithwalk, y'all. But we have been covering things, like I said, that affects our finances. And so for me, I thought, how about we do something different? Because this is what your girl does. I mean, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Everybody's talking about, depression and everything, and just on a regular scale. But can we talk about it different? Can you hit it from a different angle? That is what your girl does. I'm hitting it from a different angle, honey. Any and every time I'm doing something, I am being the most creative, how God has given it to me. How can I do this different? How can I bring this to the people? That is what your girl does. Stick with me. Honey, like, share, subscribe, boo. Because when I'm giving this good information, I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about you. Yeah, I said it was a community builder. It is. I didn't just make this up. I took a test, y'all. This is what it is. It's me down to the core of who I am. Yes, I want to give. I'm living for the people. I'm not living for the weekend. Like the OJ's not living for the weekend. Okay, no. I'm living for the people. That's you, boo. That's what your girl does. Because I didn't know that depression was I didn't know I was tangling with that depression, honey, for 2 years. I didn't know. I didn't know my score was so high. Severe. I was in the severe range, honey. Going and doing and being. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your girl is getting her reach back on. That's what I'm doing, babe. I do this podcast. I go live. I teach. I will come and go to a school. I will come and go to a community event. I will come and go anywhere you want me to come and go, honey, to give this good information because it is so necessary, especially for us African Americans, honey. People are suffering in silence. The world is suffering in silence, but African Americans are suffering in silence at alarming rates. Suicidal rates are going up since COVID, going up, right? Depression numbers up, anxiety up, panic attacks up. I just talked to a friend of mine the other day. And you know how people are on your spirit, y'all. I just want to tell you, when the Lord give you all those little whispers, your guardian angels, that's what I call them, my little guardian angels. They give me those little whispers, call this, or somebody drops on your spirit. Y'all, it's not a just because. God is not a just because God, right? If somebody is dropping on your spirit, call them. You know what I mean? Stop by, check on them. Take a minute. I know you're busy. I'm busy too. I do the same thing. I know it's a very conscious effort, but do it. Do it anyway, because something is going on. Again, God is not a just because God. They're dropping on your spirit for some reason. So nevertheless, one of my friends was on my mind. I called him the other day, and something told me to just keep calling. I called, he didn't answer. I went by his house. He wasn't there. I left a message. His brother came. I left him a message. And so he ended up calling me back the other day, and I was like, man, I'm so happy you called me. And so we were talking just our regular little talk like we would normally do, right? And then after he was talking and he said, I've been sick. I haven't been well. And I was like, wow, tell me about it. What happened? The girl's a nurse. I'm a nurse for 22 years. So, that whole assessment, and let me, that giver bee, that helper bee in me, it just pops. It's natural. It just what's going on? Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can think of. Let me see what resource I have in here that I can give you. Let me see what's in the Rolodex. What advice can I give you? Let me see what's going on. So he tells me, they can't figure out he's having these chest pains. He's gone to the doctor. He's been to the emergency room, and he's telling me, he feel like he can't breathe. Yeah. They run all these tests. Everything is negative. When he finished talking and he finished describing, I said, sweetie, you're having panic attacks. What you're describing is a panic attack. It feels like you're having a heart attack. The first time I had one, I thought I was having a heart attack. I couldn't breathe. All of a sudden, I was literally driving. Wasn't nothing seemingly wrong. It wasn't anything like what I was consciously thinking of anything specific, right? But it was something that was kind of subconsciously on my mind. Honey, whether you pull it to the forefront or whether it's in your subconscious, it's in there. So we're going and being and doing it and ignoring stuff how we really feel. And our body is responding. The emotions are coming up. They're in there, right? Whether we acknowledge them or not, they're in there. So he says he was driving, and I was driving, and I felt like I was underwater. I couldn't breathe all of a sudden. I felt like, if you ever been in the pool and you right at the end of the brink where it drops, like that feeling where you're like choked up and you're scared. That's what it feels like. If it feels like something is coming and taking your breath away. You can't take deep breaths. Everything is short, right? It feels definitely like you're having a heart attack. And so I said, sweetie, I described it to him. I said, you're having panic attacks. I said, I need you to go to your doctor and have them to test you. And so after I described it, he said, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I do believe that's what it is because everything is coming back negative. Once they test you, because it is the doctor's job, it is the ER's job to run tests. If you're having chest pain, they're going to check the automatic first thing they're going to do. They're going to check your heart. They're going to run some labs, right? They're going to check to see if you've had a heart attack. There are enzymes in your blood that is going to show up. So they're looking for those enzymes, whether it's passed or not, right? They can see your level is up of this specific enzyme. So the level would be up if it was your heart. So you feeling like you having this heart attack, you go, no enzymes in the blood, right? Your heart is fine, the EKG is normal. Your heart rate might be up a little bit, but that's it. And they send you home. And he's like, man, I know I'm not crazy. Because that's what it feels like, because it comes in waves. It comes at unexpected times. You could be doo-doo-doo, just like I'm talking to you right now, just regular. I'd be driving to work. I would get up and be here and I took baby girl to school. I'd be in here getting ready for work. And all of a sudden, I done zoned out. I don't even know. Yeah, yeah. Losing space and time. And you don't even understand. You don't even know, why is it taking me so long to get dressed? Dang, what was I doing? What happened? Lord, am I crazy? You still trying to go and be and do. This is generally after something has happened. Normally, grief, the loss of someone that you love. And for those people that had someone that they were really close to, because people pass away, right? I'm a nurse. I have patients that have passed away. I have patients that have passed away that have been closer to me, that affected me differently than other patients. Oh man, that's sad. Man, I'm really sad for the family. Oh man, you see something. Oh man, that's really sad. But when it's your mom, right? When it's your dad, it's your children, it's your grandmother. Like it was my big mama and my stepfather that raised me, two very significant people in my life. Yeah, that's going to affect me differently. But we're not taught. We're not taught these things. And so we're still trying to go and be and do and trying to figure out why we can't. And then we're feeling some kind of way about ourselves because we can't go and be and do. Like, what's wrong with me? Why I can't? Well, it's been a month, it's been 2 years, it's been however long since they passed away. What's wrong? People saying, what's wrong with you? Oh, you still talking about that? Oh man, that happened a long time ago. You still worrying about that? How you still, man, get over it. Is that what people do? Is that what we do? Get over it. Then you feeling some kind of way. I'm trying to get over it. Why can't I just get over it? Because you haven't even acknowledged that you're feeling some kind of way, that there's a problem, that, man, that was my big mama. We had a special relationship. She had an effect on my life. No, we're suppressing. We're holding. That was my dad. He taught me so much, man, the lessons and the blessings. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know, right? He played a significant role in my life. It wasn't just another person passing away, some random person. Oh, that was my cousin. That was my favorite cousin. That was my big cousin that I looked up to. But do we deal with it? No. And Lord forbid. Don't be a Christian, honey. What? What you mean? What you mean you having depression? God will fix it. Just pray about it. You'll be all right. Is that what we do? But are you all right? And then because you're supposed to be all right, again, we're feeling guilty about not being all right. What does this all have to do with faith? What it has to do with faith for me is I am blessed that I feel like God will lead and guide you to the things that you needed to be that you need to be led and guided to in order for you to heal those broken places, those subconscious strongholds, in order for you to break those chains that are holding you. I feel like God will lead you to the people and the places that you need. Not all because I'm a Christian, I need to just go home and pray. Faith without works is dead, honey. It's nothing. What are you doing to help you navigate? Because I just can't swim in these waters. These waters will swallow you up and Jonah your butt, honey. You be just sitting in the belly of it, just waiting. No, God led me to a great therapist. I prayed the snakes and the being out of my Lord, give me some good people. So everybody that I'm led to, I'm trusting and believing God is leading me. So God, order my steps. And then I'm trusting and I'm believing if somebody comes into my life, either they're supposed to deposit something into my life, I'm supposed to deposit something to their life, or it's both. But either way, there's some purpose there. It's not just because. And ladies, let me just help you. Every man that comes into your life is not supposed to be your man, but some people God put into your life because they need your story. They need your journey. They need your testimony. Fellas, that goes for you too. Every woman that comes into your life is not your boo, honey. It's not your boo. But that faith walk is knowing and trusting that wherever you're being led, When I was walking in darkness in that complacency, honey, the Lord led me. Lord, please lead and guide me. He led me to fasting. He led me to Christopher Aaron. He led me to Roderick. They were facilitating the fasting group at that period of time. He led me to Vancito Edwards Jr. He led me to Maisha. Them two introduced me to mirror work. Vancito introduced me to breath work. Maisha introduced me to the body keeps the score. All of these things I'm navigating. Vancito let me into Lisa Meta. Lisa Meta has a program, 30 Days of Change. Oh my goodness. Then I did her 90-day program. Honey, oh, oh. And then after that, guess what? I was led to an abortion healing clinic weekend, healing weekend, an abortion healing weekend. Yes. Guess what? Your girl had a abortion at 14 years old. The first time I had sex, I got pregnant. Did I deal with it? No. I had to get back to making my A's and B's because I was a good Catholic school girl, honey, on the honor roll making my A's and B's, and that's what I was concerned about. I needed to get back making my A's and B's. I didn't have time to think about this. Is that what we do? We push stuff down, we keep it moving, we just keep going. We don't deal with the things that has traumatized us, that may have hurt us. That doctor talked so nasty to me. It was traumatizing for a 14-year-old. Open your legs. Haven't you? Didn't you have sex? You're not a virgin. Why you? So because I had a crush on a boy and I made a mistake, that justified me being treated like what again? That was traumatizing for a 14-year-old mind. Yeah, we can go and have the conversation of, yeah, I shouldn't have been having sex and blah, 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 and all of the stuff. But guess what? It spilled milk. I did. There's a lot of 14-year-olds out there making the same mistakes. So what are we doing about it? Because there's layers in that thing. It's not so black and white. There's layers in the decisions and the things that you've made. And so what comes along with that? Shame, guilt, fear, anxiety, PTSD. You diagnosed me with PTSD in the fall, honey. I was like, I ain't been to no war. What is this? What happened? How? But when I look back and I think of all the traumatic things, I grew up in Baltimore City. I have a lot of friends that have passed away. Traumatic. Friends of the head, we on a corner one day and the next day, somebody's talking about they gone. They got shot. Why? What happened? And that's normal? Sometimes we live in environments and in situations and we don't even understand how traumatic it is because that's our norm. In Baltimore now, when I talk to my girlfriend, she's like, yo, they are killing these babies left and right. These young kids are getting killed left and right. Back in the day, it wasn't so many younger people getting killed like it is now. It was the older boys. It was the older, they was doing this or they was doing that or they went to jail or whatever. And it was like, you can kind of still wrap your mind around it some kind of way, but should you? Should you though? So again, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. There are 1 in 5 people out there walking in darkness, navigating their mental health journey. Suffering in silence is what I call it. Understand that there are resources out there. You don't have to do this alone. 911 used to be the resource people would call whenever there was something going on. Now it is 988 is the national mental health resource. That is anything involving mental health. They can get you to where you need to be. They can get you the help and the resources that you need in your city. Again, 988 instead of 911, 988 pound star 988 star 988 or 988. Okay. So moving on to our finances, what we have been doing is we have been covering our finances, because for me, honey, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is what? The definition of insanity. And so what we're doing, we are reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. Honey, these lessons in here, priceless. The way that the rich look at things and the way that the middle class look at things, completely different. And my thing is that I feel like we are so smart. We're smart human beings, honey. We are smart. It's not that we can't. It's that we don't know the rules. We don't even know what game is being played. We don't know it's another game being played. Because all we've been given is this over here. Like we just given the leftovers. Y'all take this. Right? We won't even know that some of these things out here exist. And so I feel like when you have the keys, honey, when you have the keys, or when you have at least the game plan, or you know the game is being played, babe, you can. I want to play too. I want to play. That's where I'm at. I want to play too. I want to play your game. Let me in on it. Give me the option, at least the opportunity to try. That's where we're at. Excuse me. And so we have Mr. Robert Kiyosaki's. Now, why did I choose Rich Dad Poor Dad? I chose this book because your girl is a researcher. Honey, I'm a nurse for 22 years. I'm a nurse educator. And anytime that I was looking at anything that had to do with finances, be it a video, be it a book, be it any of speakers, Mr. Grant Cardone, Eric Thomas, anybody that I respected, as I was researching and looking at, even looking at other things, like before I even started looking at financial things, they were mentioning this book. They were mentioning this book. And so is it happenstance that last year was a 25-year anniversary and they reissued it? I don't think so. But it says this is the #1 personal finance book of all time. I mean, thus far, I can see why. I can see why. Mr. Robert Kiyosaki, talks about his rich dad and his poor dad. He talks about the lessons, and there were 6 key lessons that he learned. He started learning them at 9 years old. Him and his, I'm going to say his best friend and his brother, right? Went to school one day and they were not invited to a party because they were, quote unquote, the poor kids. And so they started thinking about how they could become rich because they wanted to be like the other kids, right? And they started asking their dads. They went to Robert's dad, who was a successful, educated man in Hawaii. And his Robert's dad told him, he said, I'm not that smart when it comes to finances, but he told him to talk to his friend's dad, right? Go talk to his friend's dad. Go talk to Mike's dad, he said. And Mike's dad had an 8th grade education. And but he owned several businesses that he was running. He had several people working for him. And he said he was really smart. And so they started with lessons, asking if he would teach they went to the dad asking if he would teach them, and he agreed, but he didn't teach them in the traditional way. And so go back. I've been reviewing every day. So go back to lesson 1, chapter 1. It is the rich don't work for money, honey. I said, really? This is the title grabbed me. The rich don't work for money. What they doing? What I want to know. I need to be one of these people. Chapter 2 was why teach financial literacy. Why teach financial literacy? Learning the difference between assets and liabilities. That was like, oh my gosh, in this chapter. Learning the difference between an asset and a liability. The biggest difference was that he said that assets always bring you money. It's always bringing money in. If it's an asset, it is always bringing money in. The difference between the middle class and the rich is that the middle class looks at things that take money away as an asset, such as your home. Where the middle class, we are very, very proud of the fact that we are homeowners, that we've sacrificed, that we're working these jobs, that, we are paying a mortgage. You know what I mean? It's very much something to be proud of. It's something people work for. It's almost like, you made it. It's a great accomplishment. And what he's saying is that that's a liability. He said it's a liability. A liability because you're paying a 30-year mortgage. Why 30 years? 30 years, and he's not saying don't buy a home, right? He's just saying in 30 years, think of the interest, think of the taxes. How many things have broken down? What do you need to fix? All of these things that are taking money away. He said, once you buy a new home, what else you buy? You bought a new car, you bought a new home, you're going on vacation, you're spending all of this money. What are you doing to bring and put money in your pocket? And so the middle class, we look at these things as assets. If we want more money, we are just working more hours. Oh, I want to go on vacation. That's what I was taught. If I want to go on vacation, I can plan it. I can just work me some extra hours. The rich, they say, instead of working extra hours, what can I do in my business? How is this company going to make more money for me so that I can do the things that I want to do? So I'm not being ran down. I'm not tired working 70 hours because I want to go on vacation. 80 hours, 90 hours. How many of us do that? Because we want to go on vacation. Because we want to buy a home. Because we want to buy a new car. No, having the money work for you is the reason why to teach financial literacy, because it teaches you how to make money work for you instead of you working for money. Lesson number 3 is mind your own business. What business can you create? What gift do you have that can create and make you money outside of your 9 to 5? Number 4 was the history of taxes and the power of corporations. The corporations, he said, is the number one secret of the rich. Most people and most businesses that I know and that I'm aware of are LLCs, which is great because they protect you. But to build corporations is what the rich do. They build corporations. And how to do that. That was chapter 4. Today we are reviewing chapter 4, the history of taxes and the power of corporations. Chapter 4, lesson 4's review. Let's get into it. This is some quotes that came from chapter 4. My rich dad did not see Robin Hood as a hero. He saw He called Robin Hood a crook. Another one is fast forward 25 years, taxes and tax incentives. We continue to see governments use the tax laws to provide incentives to business owners and investors to create jobs and housing, as well as other work the government needs done, as well as other work the government needs done. I'm not sorry, I can't read. Okay, the incentives reduce the taxes of the rich, and this pushes the government to drive tax revenue from the middle class. Still true today is another quote: the tax man. The tax man will take as much as you let him. The tax system is ultimately fair in that it works the same for everyone who has the same situation. If you are willing to invest, the tax laws will work in your favor. If you want to just spend money and buy liabilities, the tax law won't give you any breaks, and it's likely you pay the most tax possible. Another one is if you work for money, you give the power to your employer. I like this one. If money works for you, you keep the power and you control it. Another quote is each dollar in my asset column was a great employee working hard to make more employees and buy the boss a new Porsche. That is why he's saying you create your own business and your own corporations, right? Because whatever job you're working, it's nothing to people. We're working class, hardworking people, and that's great. But can you think outside the box? Because life is changing, right? Seasons are changing, times are changing. And so, how long is it going to be that we work for all these big corporations, pouring and giving and doing and being? Because if something happens to you, guess what? They're going to continue to go. It'd be just like that picture in COVID in New York back in the day when COVID first started, when that man passed out. What did they do? They stepped over him. They kept walking. Business as usual. They're going to keep going. They might say, oh, Michelle passed away. Oh, Michelle been working here for 40 years, so let's give her a pin ring for 40 years of long nights and 16-hour shifts, and when she's supposed to be working 12, and all the times that each dollar in my asset column, meaning something else that's created is making money for me, right, was a great employee working hard to make more employees and buy the boss a new Porsche. Honey, that thing got me yesterday. Timeless rich dad wisdom. Own the ladder. As technology continues to change the way we work and do business, I talk with more and more people who ask themselves, how can I own the ladder? Capitalism is thriving, and the free market system means the entrepreneurs who can offer a better product at a better price have a good chance of success. All right, so we're getting into study session. This is chapter 4, lesson 4, the history of taxes and the power of corporations. Many people see Robin Hood as a hero, taken from the rich and given to the poor. Rich Dad did not share that opinion. He called Robin Hood a crook. Though the popular sentiment is that the rich should pay more in taxes and give to the poor, in reality, it is the middle class that is heavily taxed, especially the educated upper income middle class. I can attest to that. To understand how this happens, Robert gives a brief history of taxes. In England and America, originally there were no taxes, only occasional temporary levies to pay for such things as war. In 1874, England made income tax a permanent levy on its citizens. In America, the land where a tax on tea led to the Boston Tea Market protests and helped ignite the Revolutionary War. The adaptation of the 16th Amendment in 1913 made an income tax permanent. These countries were able to get taxes accepted by the majority, catch this story, y'all, because they first levied only against the rich. However, although income tax was designed to punish the rich, it wound up punishing those who voted for it, the poor and the middle class. Y'all got to think about this thing, because this is what's going on today in our world and with Republicans. They make it look like it's going to be for your good. And in the end, these laws that they're creating are suffering. Look at Florida. May 17th, 2023. Look at the laws that are being passed in Florida. And then look at the people that voted. Okay. That's all I'm going to say about that right now, because we're not talking about that. Stay focused. We're talking about finances today. Rich Dad explained that he and Poor Dad were opposite. Poor Dad, as a government employee, was rewarded if he spent money and hired people, making his organization larger. But for Rich Dad, the fewer people he hired and the less money he spent, the more he was respected by his investors. And as the government grows, so does the amount of tax dollars needed to support it. Poor Dad sincerely believed that the government should help people. He and Robert's mom worked for the Peace Corps, training volunteers to go to Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines. They were always seeking more grants and budget increases so they can hire more people. For Robert, it was a challenge to work for one of the biggest capitalists in town and go home to a prominent government leader. It wasn't easy to know which dad to believe. But over time, as Robert studied the history of taxes, he saw an interesting perspective. As the government's appetite for money grew, taxes soon needed to be levied on the middle class. And from there, it kept trickling down. But the rich saw an opportunity because they don't play by the same set of rules. Corporations, which became popular in the days of sailing ships, offered a way around taxes. Understanding the legal corporate structure gave the rich a steep advantage and allowed them to outsmart the intellectuals. The government ideal is to avoid having excess money. If you fail to spend your allotted funds, you risk losing it in the next budget. Business people, on the other hand, catch this, are rewarded for having excess money and are applauded for their efficiency. And as the government continued its ideal and spent more and more and more money, more taxes, this time on the middle class and eventually the poor, were needed. A corporation is simply a legal document that creates a legal entity. It is not really a thing, not a factory or a group of people. Let's read that again. A corporation is a simple legal document that creates a legal entity. It is not really a thing, not a factory or a group of people. What did you think a corporation is? What do you think of when you think of corporations? So what is he saying to you? What is he telling you? He's telling you when you go to form your business, Do you need to have some big 100,000 of people working for you? I know that you were told that it's easier to form an LLC. I know that's what you were told. But when you think about the long run and think about your long-term goals and the things that you want to do and the things that you want to accomplish, you were probably thinking, because that's what I was thinking, and this is what I was told. Oh, you need to do an LLC right now because you don't have everything and you're not there yet. But this is one of the reasons why I take my time and I research. What is an LLC again? What is a sole proprietor again? What is an S Corp? What is a C Corp? What's the difference? I YouTubed it. Then I studied it. Then I talked to people that had their own. And now I'm getting confirmation from this book because your girl did not, as I was advised by so many people, form an LLC. I formed a corporation. Yeah, yeah, that's what I did. I formed a corporation. A corporation is a simple legal document. You know how long it took me? Less than 10 minutes. You know how much it costs? It was free. You can do it online. InternalRevenueService.gov. Yeah, free, online. Then you go down to your local um, business bureau and you file your business down there. Now that might cost you $20, $30 or whatever the fee is, but nevertheless it wasn't $50. You spend more money at a drive-through than how much it's going to cost you. So look into it. YouTube it. Okay. A corporation, I'm going to say it one more time, 3 times for the Trinity. A corporation is a simple, a legal document that creates a legal entity. It is not really a thing, not a factory or a group of people, but it offers a lower income tax rate than individuals have. And certain expenses can be paid by a corporation with pre-tax dollars. If those who get up and go to work at their jobs and pay taxes could only understand the way the rich play the game, they could too. The problem is, the harder you work in a job, the more you must pay the government. Taxes end up punishing the very people who voted for them. Attempts to punish the rich rarely work because the rich find ways to minimize their tax burden. And we trying to figure out why those people, those presidents that wasn't showing their taxes or wasn't paying taxes, how did they get through? It's these loopholes right here. One such way is Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code, which allows a seller to delay paying taxes on a piece of real estate that is sold for capital gain through an exchange for a more expensive piece of real estate. What does that mean? If you go into the game buying some land or some property, right, and you go and buy, a bigger piece of property, using that property, guess what? Capital gain through an exchange for a more expensive piece of real estate. Play the game, honey. We got to know the rules of the game. These are the rules of the game. It said Section 1031 of the Internal Revenue Code. Research that thing. As long as you keep trading up in value, you won't be taxed on the gains until you liquidate. Those who don't take advantage of these savings are missing a chance to build their asset column. In all the years Rich Dad was guiding Robert, he was trying to teach him that knowledge is power. And with money comes great power that requires the right knowledge to keep it, make it, and to make it multiply. Without that knowledge, the world pushes you around. I've always felt like, I remember saying when I'm in situations, I'm like, why am I paying more? Why are they charging me more? And I don't even have the money. Like, I'm already in the hole. Why am I being charged more? But I've very diligently, very, intentionally worked to be in the middle class, proud to be in the middle class, and felt like, you know what? The middle class was great for me. I mean, there's layers to the middle class. There's a lower and upper and a middle. I feel like I've been in all three at periods and points and times in my life, right? I've been in all three. And he's right. There are periods of time where I'm like, man, I'm waiting for my income tax to come back. It was periods of time in my life where I didn't make as much money, and I was so happy to get that, $5,000 back. Oh my God, I really need it because I was broke. I need this 5,000. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for this child tax credit. Praise God. And then it got to a point where I was making more money, and guess what? Then I owed taxes because I didn't have a good understanding of all of this. I owed taxes. And I'm like, what in the hell? Who wants to be on this side of the world? I don't want to be on this side of the fence. Right? But it is knowing the rules of the game. It's knowing how to get around. It's knowing what to do. It's knowing how to get to the next level. Do I want to stay here in this middle class level? I don't. Nope. I'm ready to move. I'm with my Diana. I'm coming. Because your girl got things to do. I'm a community builder, honey. I got money to give away. I got buildings to save. I got people to put into buildings. I got homeless people. I got families. I got programs to build. So I can't stay here. And so we need these for the vision that God has given me, for the programs that I've developed, for the retreats that I have. I need more money. What does that look like? What vision and dream do you have for yourself? What do you need this information for? What can you do with the information? Just very simple. What would happen if you just did one thing and stop looking at your asset and your liability? Your liabilities column is anything that's taking money out. Anything that's taking money out. Your asset, anything that's bringing money in. Anything that's bringing money in is an asset. Anything that's taking money out is a liability. How would that, just one shift of mindset, change how you're viewing things? How you're doing things right now? I know you might have just bought your new home, and honey, that's a great accomplishment. That's amazing. But okay, what can you do now that you bought that home? Can you buy another one and lease that one? Can you buy another one in an area where you know there's some land development being built, and some big corporation is gonna come by and offer you some money for the one that the land that ain't really worth? You might have bought it at a low cost. Can you think outside the box? I'm just saying, what can you do? Because if you hear and you're hearing this information, it's not just because. Again, God's divine intervention in our lives are real, honey, whether you acknowledge it or not. What can you do with the information? If you continue to think that it's not for you, then and you can't do nothing with it, then it won't. But if you open up your mind and be open, you take one step, God will take two. You'll be scrolling and watching something. You'll hear somebody gonna come and have a conversation with you. Yo, you know what? This is program. Or such and such is going on. Have you talked to so and so? There's an opportunity. That's how I believe it works. That's how I know it's worked all of my 46 years of living on this side of heaven. That's how it's worked. That's faith. That's the faith walk, knowing, right? It's coming. You won't have to have all of the answers right now. You just got to believe it's coming. I don't have all the answers. I'm reading this book just like you read, just like you listening. I'm reading it because I don't have all the answers. Robert continued. He said, the tax man is a bully who will always take more if you let him. Don't let him by making your money work for you. Smart tax consultants and attorneys are worth their cost, as it's still cheaper than paying the government. It's expensive to not know the law. In his mid-20s, when he was just out of the Marine Corps and working for Xerox, Robert was disappointed by how much was taken out of his paycheck. It motivated him to find his first corporation in 1974 and work harder at his day job to amass as much money as possible to invest in real estate. He became one of the top salesmen at Xerox and in less than 3 years was making more in his real estate holding corporation than he was at Xerox. His company brought him his first Porsche, proof that the plan was working. The lessons he learned from Rich Dad helped him break out of the proverbial rat race at an early age, and he wants to help others to do the same. Financial IQ or financial intelligence is what makes that possible. It makes up of four things: accounting, which is financial literacy or an ability to read numbers and elevate the strengths and weaknesses of any business; investing, the science and strategies of money making money; understanding markets, the science of supply and demand and market conditions; and the law, taxes and protections. Understanding those legal advantages is profound when it comes to long-term wealth. For instance, a corporation can pay expenses before paying taxes, whereas an employee gets taxed first and must try to pay expenses on what is left. Board meetings in Hawaii, car payments, and insurance and health club memberships can be pre-tax expenses for corporations. Corporation also offers legal protection from lawsuits. When someone sues a wealthy individual, they are often met with lawyers of legal protection and often find that the wealthy person actually owns nothing. They control everything, but own nothing. Robert urges that those who own legitimate assets to find out more about corporations, benefits, and protections. Garrett Sutton's book, Garrett Sutton's books are among many that help. In summary, business owners with corporation, number one, earn, number two, spend, and then three, pay taxes. Employees, that's you and me, hardworking people who work for corporations, number one, earn, then we pay taxes, number three, then we spend. Left hemisphere moment, those are your left brainers, your very strategic people. They need the numbers, they need the tangible. For left hemisphere moment, accounting is financial literacy or the ability to read numbers. This is a vital skill if you want to build an empire. The more money you are responsible for, the more accuracy is required. or the house comes tumbling down. Let me say that again. The more money you are responsible for, meaning you win the lottery, you do, the more accuracy is required. Because we just willy-nilly, right? We just out here willy-nilly spending. Oh my God, I got this much. Let me just go ahead. Let me buy this watch. Let me buy this car. Let me buy this house. Let me buy this. Let me get my mama now something. Let me, right? I'm getting my mama something. I ain't mad at you. The more accuracy is required, or the house comes tumbling down. You got to know what you're doing with all that money, boo. You can't just be so frivolous. Right hemisphere people, these are my creative people. That's me in the world, the creatives in the world. Investing is the science of money making money. This involves strategies and formulas which use the creative side of the brain. What can you come up with, honey? What business can you create? This is a subconscious moment. Understanding markets is the science of supply and demand. You need to know the technical aspects of the market, which are emotion driven, in addition to the fundamental or economic aspects of an investment. What was Robert saying? Now it's time to reflect. Ask yourself, what is Robert saying in this quote? And why does he say that? In this section, you do not need, people are walking by, I'm sorry. In this section, why do you need to agree or disagree with Robert? The goal is to understand, in this section, you do not need to agree or disagree with Robert. The goal is to understand what Robert is saying. Remember, this curriculum is designed to be cooperative and supportive. Two minds are better than one. If you do not understand what Robert is saying, do not shy away from it. Ask for help in understanding. Take the time, discuss each quote until you understand it. Number one, my rich dad just played the game smart, and he did it through corporations, the bigger secret of the rich. I definitely understand this quote. It is, thinking outside the box and knowing that there's another way to do things. Again, having a business and having a corporation, a lot of people think that you have to have 50 million people again working for you. It is literally a checkbox on an option on the irs.gov list. It's a checkbox. You do not have to have a whole bunch of people working for you. It could just be you starting out. Of course, in my mind, I'm building, right? It's not always just going to be me. But today, on this day, May 17th, 2023, if you wanted to start a corporation, you go to irs.gov, start a business, fill out the information, check the box, go down to your local business bureau office, look it up, go down there, pay the money. It's less than $50. Every state is the same. And you have a corporation. Michelle D.I. is a corporation because I have a vision to build. I have a vision. What vision do you have? Do you have a vision for your life? Do you have a vision for your business? If you don't, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to those people out there that are thinking that they're not able to do it or they can't do it or, what again? Oh, I ain't gonna be able to do that. They don't believe that they can do it. You can. Yeah, you can play the game too. You can get in. You can get in the game. The game is available to you. Yeah. Number two, the reality is that the rich are not taxed. It's the middle class who pays for the poor, especially the educated upper income middle class. Again, I know this to be true just because of how my dynamics from being, I was a home health aide. Then I was a LVN, licensed vocational nurse. And then I became a registered nurse. And so the money, as the money went up, so did my tax, and so did my taxes. And the more that I worked, the more money they took out of my taxes. And so I definitely know this to be true. I definitely know this to be true. Excuse me. Every time people try to punish the rich don't simply comply, they react. They have the power, the money, and intent to change things. They don't just sit there and voluntarily pay more taxes. I think this is a very important lesson to know. It is, again, you can say that they are scammers, or, you can call it whatever you want. But at the same time, to find a way around the loophole instead of sitting there complaining or whining or just allowing things to be. That's how I take this. Instead of them sitting, instead of those people that just sit and wallow and woe is me, what can I do about my situation? And understanding that you can learn from everybody. Again, you have to just be open. Number four, if you work for money, you give the power to your employer. If money works for you, you keep the power and control. I love that. I love that. Again, it's thinking outside the box, because we will spend 80 hours at somebody else's job doing and doing and doing and doing. And then we're trying to, honestly get what's needed out there to provide for our families. We're doing the best that we can do. But the game is being played different if you want to get to another level where you're not just living paycheck to paycheck. That's the purpose. I'm trying to shift from living paycheck to paycheck. How can abundance become my lifestyle? So looking at it from the aspect of what somebody that's living in abundance is doing is where I'm at with it. If you work for money, you give the power to your employer. I don't want to give power to my employer. I want to have some power to do the things that I want to do in this life while I'm on this side of heaven too. I don't want to just, I ain't mad at you buying your Porsche, but can I get a car too? Can I get a luxury car too? I look good in luxury cars. I like luxury cars. A person who understands the tax advantages and protections provided by a corporation can get rich so much faster than someone who is an employee or a small business sole proprietor. Again, it is changing your shift in mindset, changing your shift, shifting your mindset. A person who understands the tax advantages. And so that means certain things that you can do as a corporation, you can't do as an LLC. You can't do as a sole proprietor. So when it comes to filing your taxes, there's certain things that you can, file for that can help you, that will give you a tax break. Got to know the rules of the game, boo. Next one. It's like the difference between someone walking and someone flying. You both gonna get there. You both are getting stuff. You both are, right? But how much more can I see when I'm in the air? Your vision is so much wider, right? You can see a lot more. You can take in a lot more. It's freeing. You're free up there, flying. Well, there ain't nothing wrong with walking. You're going to get there. You're going to take the long way around the mulberry bush. It's a scenic route both ways, right? It's positives in both. It's a scenic route both ways. You're going to see some things. You're going to experience some stuff. Everything is not perfect up in the sky, nor is it down below. But nevertheless, I'd rather have some wings, baby. I'd rather have some wings. Employees earn and get taxed, and they try to live on what is left. Employees earn and get taxed, and they try to live on what's left. How many of us are living paycheck to paycheck? It's over 50% of middle class that are living paycheck to paycheck. The statistics are crazy. A corporation spends everything it can, and is taxed on anything that is left. It's one of the biggest legal tax loopholes that the rich has. You get taxed on your earnings, meaning you go to work every day, get taxed, and then you try to live on what's left over. A corporation takes in the money, spends the money, and then whatever little bit is left over on, they tax. That's why they not paying. When you say, how can they pay? Why they don't pay them little bit of taxes? What? They ain't paying no taxes. How's that possible? They ain't got no money left over. Then if they only got this little bit of money left over, that's all they getting taxed on from their corporations. The loophole for the rich is available to you. Just telling you. I'm just telling you. Additional questions. Now it's time to take the stories in this chapter along with the understanding of what Robert was saying and apply them to you in your life. Ask yourself the questions below and discuss them with your study partner. Excuse me. Be honest with yourself and your partner. If you do not like some of the answers you are giving, ask yourself if you are willing to change and accept the challenge to change your thoughts and mindset. Do you agree with Rich Dad's assessment of Robin Hood that he was a crook? Why or why not? Oh, that's hard. So he talked about Robin Hood being a crook because he's stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. The rich are saying, that you should be able to make your own. I would say I'm on the fence about this only because I do understand the concept. I don't feel like me personally, I just don't feel like you should be stealing anybody's nothing. And so I think that the rich have worked hard and they've done their part. Those people that have worked hard, somebody worked hard for it. And then I feel like there are people out there that just want to take and not work for the things that they are given. For that, I just feel like, I feel on the fence about it, because for those people out in the world that are just waiting for someone who has worked hard to give you something, that's laziness. I just don't feel like that's right. But on the same hand, there's a gray line in there. Like, it's not just this black and white thing. And so even though I understand the Robin Hood concept, I don't think that is right. I don't. I honestly don't think that is right. I don't think it's right, like I said, to take from anyone. Now, as far as the world is concerned, I feel like there should be some laws or something where there should be a little bit more balance, because, like it said in here, the people that the way that it was voted and the way that it started, was that the rich were supposed to be taxed a little more to try to cover and help out. Those people that have more, I do believe that you are supposed to be helping. Um, and so, but I just don't think it is supposed to be stolen. I think it's just supposed to be given. So, have taxes created a bigger problem with government spending? Taxes are a problem. I mean, they say taxes are for things. It's supposed to be to fix roads. It's supposed to be for the schools. And coming from the inner city and the way that it's dished out, even to HBCUs, and when you get down to the inner city elementary schools and middle school, high schools, and then you get to college level, when you get to HBCUs, and you think of the streets in the poor neighborhoods, whereas out in the county, those type of things that taxes, quote unquote, are supposed to be paying for. I do believe that it has created a bigger problem. I don't believe it's being used for what it's supposed to be used for, and it's just very evident and very clear. Some of the HBCUs, they get the hundreds of thousands of dollars less than what other schools are given from the government, and that part is not fair. And so that, I do believe, has created a bigger problem. I do believe that needs to be looked at and adjusted, and should be given out equally. Given out or given out, because I understand that some schools are bigger than others or whatever, but it should be something like, a range. If your school has this many people, this many students, that's it. That is a blanket. This is what you get, for the sizes of the schools. And the smaller schools may need more help sometimes than the bigger schools. The bigger schools have a lot of the things already intact and in place. They don't need as much. Sometimes that's the case, sometimes it's not. But I feel like there should be an evaluation either way. Do you think members of middle class and the poor realize that the burden of taxes has fallen to them? What effects of that do you see? Well, I just explained that. That was kind of the same thing. Number 4, do your beliefs fall more under the banner of capitalism or socialism? What are the benefits and downfalls of each way of thinking? Well, capitalism is kind of, you think of it in a selfish way, is what I've always thought. Capitalism is more about, the person itself, where socialism is more dealing with people in society and what's best for everyone. And so I've always been in a realm of what's best for everyone. Even, when you mix the rich in there, like most people that are rich, they've worked their way up. They haven't always been rich. And so to look at it from a community standpoint and what's best for the community, instead of the bigger companies or the big fish in the pond, the little fish need to eat too. And so the benefits of that is that everybody gets a piece. You know what I mean? Everybody wants a piece of the pie. Everybody deserves a piece of the pie. Everybody is here working and trying. I think the people that want to work and try feel so defeated that their mental health is affected, that they don't have the drive, or they think that their circumstances are so that it won't even matter if I tried. And so the benefit would be giving everybody an even playing field to reach their goals, to reach their dreams, to do whatever it is God has called them to do. Number 5, are the rich right to use the advantages of corporations to avoid paying taxes? Do you think more people could follow suit if they understood the system better? Are the rich right to use the advantages of corporations to avoid? Well, I mean, is it right? I don't think that is right. I don't think that is right. Because again, you're giving people, um, like that boost up, and everybody needs the boost. We all need to boost. We all want to play the game. We all want to be a part, right? Um, and so the rich has rules that again we're not privy to, or we haven't been able to have access to. And so I don't think that is right. Um, Especially because they're the ones that can afford to pay the taxes. So why are you getting everything free? Or why are you getting a discount? I'm struggling over here with my paycheck to paycheck. You're living it up. And, um, people are struggling. And so that part is not fair. I do think the more people would follow suit if they understood the system better. Knowledge is power, just like Robert and Michael's father taught them, like, knowledge is power. And so if you know more, if you know better, then you'll do better. That's how I feel. The more you know, the more you understand that you can change, and then you understand that it's possible for you. That was one of the things that being around people who had a different mindset than me, when I was feeling stuck in my situation. Some years ago, I was at a Black Nurses Rock conference. And at this conference, there were all amazing, beautiful chocolate, vanilla chocolate, white chocolate, all shades of beautiful African American beings, beautiful spirits that look like me, that were on all vast levels of nursing. They were doctors, they were nurse practitioners, right? Some of them were millionaires. Some of them owned their own, various businesses and different things. But it was a different look. It was a peek into possibility. Let me say that again. It was a peek into possibility. What was possible for me? And as I sat there, it was a few days, a 3 or 4 day thing. I can't remember at this point. I think it was 3 or 4 days. But as I sat there that last day, and we was in the last conference, and I was about to go back home to my brokenness, right? To my, the darkness, to everything that I felt like was at home that I didn't want to be anymore. I remember sitting there and I just cried. And they said, "Is there any questions?" And I raised my hand. And when she called on me, she said, "This is the last question." And and I was so choked up just about the inspiration that I had, about what was surrounding me in the room. It was endless possibility to what I could be, to what I could do, that it was possible. Anything was possible for me. And for some reason, I had just convinced myself that I just wasn't part of that. Like it wasn't any more options for me. This was all that I had left. This was all that it was going to be. I had nothing else, because I was wallowing in depression. I was suffering in silence. I was in darkness. I couldn't see anything else for my life. But when I heard about that conference, I remember thinking, I don't have the money, but I'm going. Somebody not getting paid, something not happening. I'm going. And when I went to sit and be there and to be so inspired, I thought, man, if she can build this, I'm looking at other nurses and other builders, nursepreneurs is what they call us, right? Nurses that are entrepreneurs. I remember being in a meeting and all they were talking about these dreams and everything that they had and what they were going to do and how they were going to build and everything. And I'm sitting there, and then here it is a year later, and these women that were talking about what they were going to do had done it. And they're all sitting in the conference with their products. And I was like, wow, it's possible. It ain't even been that long. It ain't been like no 5 or 6 10 years. I mean, like less than a year later. Sitting here with somebody who had an idea and now they've brought it to fruition. What idea do I have that I could bring into fruition in a year? What can I do? Again, God is not a just because God. He had me in that place for a reason. My little spark that I had inside of me, my little light that shines, honey, it was flickering. And I needed it to be sparked again. I needed the light to burn inside of me again. I needed the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit to show up, to show me what was possible in my life. Did I have it right then sitting in there looking at everybody? No. But faith is knowing that I can walk this way. I can walk and I can get it. That it's coming. If I do my part, God will do the rest. If I take one step, He's going to take two. Yes. Endless possibility is what I'm telling you. What do you have in you? What is it? How can you think outside the box and utilize your assets and your liabilities in your life differently? What can you do? What can you do to build some more assets? Things that bring money into your life. Not that we're money driven people, because we're not. But if I need to be embarrassed, I had a guy tell me one time, it was a boyfriend of mine, he was like, because I was talking about him having a job and wanting more, right? And doing more. And he was like, you just about the money. No, I'm actually just about not being poor, not being broke, about wanting more for my life. And people will try to make you feel guilty about wanting more for your life. Mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Pluck that devil off your shoulder. Whoever's that negative self-talk, whatever that is that you're hearing, whether it's in the physical or the spiritual realm, honey, whether somebody is telling you that and it's replaying over in your mind of what you are, what you won't be, what you'll never have, what you can't do, it's demonic. Those voices are playing in hopes that you will believe them. I call him the devil. You can call him whatever you want. But he talks, he sits, he walks to and fro. Who cannot devour? Oh, she's having a weak moment. Let me go whisper in her ear real quick. Girl, you ain't nothing. You remember you did this? Remember when you used to do that? You think anybody gonna want to hear your story? You think anybody gonna read your book? Who gonna buy your stuff? Who gonna listen to you? Who gonna what? What you gonna do? What you opening? What you trying to do? Who you can't do that? What you know about that? Every big corporation, every big corporation, Apple, go to, go look at the Steve Jobs movie. Where'd they start? Broke, in a garage. Think about, I heard a story about um, YouTube. I heard a story about YouTube. They came out when the creators of YouTube first came out. They went to Blockbuster, and they was telling Blockbuster that they were, thinking about this idea, and Blockbuster was like, "What? What? What you trying to do?" Shut them down. What Blockbuster had today? Are you really allowing someone? I'm just saying, Blockbuster used to be the. Well, are you really allowing someone else to dictate your future, to clip your vision, to shift you? God didn't give them the vision, boo. They gave it to you. So I encourage you today, step outside the box. Stop allowing people to mess with your mental. If you're not where you are today, what steps are you taking? What do you need to do? What do you need to do different to be where you need to be tomorrow? Guess what? It starts with one step, but you got to take that first step. I used to have on my desk every day, I used to read it, a quote from Steve Harvey. He says, because I'm a jumper, he says, if you want anything in this life, you're going to have to jump at one point in time. He said the first time when you jump, he said the parachute is not going to open. It's going to be scary, right? Oh my God, parachute won't open. Oh my God, it's not going to open right away. Sometimes parachute won't open and you might fall, bam, bruise yourself up. It's going to hurt a little bit, but are you going to sit there on the ground? Or are you going to get back up and you're going to jump again? This is my spin on it. He ain't say all this, but I'm just saying, if you have to get back up and jump again, are you going to get back up and jump again? Or are you going to say, oh no, I ain't jumping again. I hurt myself the last time I jumped. Oh no, I ain't jumping again. What if I can guarantee you that the next time that you jumped, you was going to fly? Would you jump then? That's faith, honey. That's faith. What did you learn from the last jump? Don't wait so long to open your parachute. Open it up when you get to this height, when you get this area. You can't open it up too soon. You can't open it up too late. You might bust your ass, or you might go flying over this way, or something else might happen. What lessons are you learning along the way? Because it wasn't a failure, honey. It was just a lesson. It wasn't a failure, just a lesson. How you looking at that thing? Okay. Now, I'm going to tell y'all this. I found this book. This is, again, Mental Health Awareness Month. It is May the 17th. I found this book, The 365 Days of Prayer for Grief and for Loss. It was Mother's Day on Sunday. It was also my 46th birthday. Thank you. Thank you. But there are some people out there that are grieving. And for those grieving each and every day, there's a prayer in this book. So I'm going to read May the 17th. It says, filled with kindness. And the scripture comes from Psalm 145:17. And it reads, the Lord is righteous in everything he does. He is filled with kindness. The prayer says this, Lord, when I am tempted to focus on my troubles, would you shift my awareness to see where your kindness is present in my life? Your love never leaves me. Your word is clear about that. Your peace is not some flimsy gift that can be easily broken. Your power is beyond the most influential leaders on the earth. No one can talk you out of your mercy, and what you set in motion cannot be deterred. Fill my heart with your love again. Lord, I rely on your character to lead me through every dark night of the soul, as well the bright, sunny days of my joy. I know that these circumstances won't last, and I won't be in the depths of mourning forever. Lift me up when I can't keep going on my own. In your kindness, I find the comfort I need for every moment. And the question of the day is, where do you see God's kindness right now? Where do you see God's kindness right now? It is in all of the things, y'all. We could wallow, and we could stay in this place of darkness, and we can stay in a why did this happen to me, and why did this happen, and what happened, and all of that stuff. Like, we could stay there, right? Or I can be very intentional on looking at the positive things. I could say, Lord, why did my nephew have to pass away last month? Why did that happen? He was only 17 years old. Or I could say, Lord, thank you. Thank you for giving me 17 years. I don't have a full understanding of why things happen, the way that they happen, or why they happen, and all of the stuff. And people are so angry, and anger is a phase, a stage of grief. And so understand that it's normal. It's normal to question God about these things, for the things that have happened to us. Why did this happen to me? If there was a God, why would he let this happen? What happened? What did this, and all of this stuff? It's normal. When I was praying about that, and I'm like, Lord, what do I say to that? Like, what do I say? I don't know why the things have happened to you that has happened to you. But what I do know is that no one on this side of heaven, no one, honey, not even like the biggest stars, the people that you're looking at on whatever, your favorite person, your whoever, your whatever. No one is exempt, honey. No one is exempt from the crazy of life. Everybody's story, something has happened to them. Some things multiple times, some things more terrible, some things less. What I do know is that it doesn't matter what has happened. You got a Romans 8:28, that thing. The good, the bad, and the crazy are all working together. And the sooner that we understand that, I might not have a full understanding of why this is happening. I might not have a full understanding of and be able to explain it, but I understand and I trust. I trust God enough that I know that it's going to be used for something, that somebody is going to need that story. Somebody is going to need my testimony. I'm going to be able to reach back and help somebody else because I've gone through. Because 9 times out of 10, the crazy, it wasn't even for you. Just like my friend the other day, my first panic attack was 8 years ago now, 2015. But what did I do the other day as I helped a friend of mine say, hey, you're not crazy. He said, I think I'm crazy. I don't know what's going on. No, you're not crazy. You're having a panic attack. I didn't know what it was either when it first happened to me. So, fam, get out of the darkness. Keep walking. Trouble don't last always. The storm clouds will pass. I know it's raining. Sometimes, I like the rain when it's real light rain and the sun is still shining. That's always a message to me that even though it's raining, God is still here with me. In the midst of the crazy, He's still there with you. He's still there. When you're wondering how you're walking and you're able to make it through, guess what? Those are the times He's carrying you. You may not feel it. You may not know it. You might not acknowledge it. How do I know? Why do I know? I know because I had a praying grandmother. My mother's mother, my grandmother, was a praying woman. Walked in the Spirit of God. Walked in the spirit of faith. Where did my mother get it from? Her mother. Where did I get my walk of faith from? My mother. Somebody prayed for you. I pray all the time for my whole family, Lord. Cover my family. The hedge fence of protection around us is real. We make the decisions to step outside of that hedge fence sometimes. My dad said this the other day because my grandfather was a praying man. And I said, Dad, what was your greatest lesson? What is your greatest lesson? What did your dad teach you? What's the thing you remember the most? He said, my dad taught me everything. It's 13 of them. He said he taught us all everything. He said, and just because we not doing it or we haven't done it or we don't do it doesn't mean that we're not taught. But sometimes you step outside of what you know and then you blame God. And that's just not how it works. That's one of the things that I help people with is mirror work. All of the programs that I have done, everything that I have endured, the things that I found out about myself, um, the breath work, the interventions, the mirror work, the 30 days of change, the fasting, the subconscious strongholds. I've developed programs because I didn't know. And I know that there's so many people out there that don't know either and they're suffering. And I don't want people to suffer. And so I do. I have a 7-day program. I have a 10-week program. And I have a 12-week program to help people get out of these dark places. And it is an investment. You know why? Because you wouldn't take it seriously, nor would you appreciate. People don't appreciate things that are free. People don't value things that are free. And I would love for you to love yourself enough to invest in you, just like I loved myself enough to invest in me. I was in a terrible place of complacency. Every program that I've ever been a part of, I've paid for. And so the investment that you will make in yourself working with me is way less than what I paid for all of the programs putting together. But the beautiful part is that it's an all-in-one. It's a mental, it's for your mind, your body, your spirit, and your emotions. And I'm very, very proud of it. And so it's called Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free. If you want to find out more information about it, please feel free to get in contact with me. Schedule an appointment. I would love to see if you are ready. Because again, the program is this my programs, they're not for everybody, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. You have to be ready, ready to do some introspection, ready to want to shift, ready to get to the next level, ready to break some chains. You have to be ready. Not just saying you're ready, but you have to be ready because it's not easy work, but you're worth it. The work is worth it, and you are worth it. Worth it, baby, baby, I'm worth it. It's one thing I had to find out, honey. I had to find out. I had to find out. So, uh, it's your girl, Michelle Franklin, honey. We are here, day 17 of going live with Faithwalk. We are looking at our finances. We are next week, next Tuesday, we're starting on relationships. We're looking at situationships, and we're looking at unforgiveness in this month of May, Mental Health Awareness Month. These are all the things that affect our mental health. And so we are taking a look at them and giving some resource, right? What's some things we can do? I wanted to take my time with this finance piece because I'm telling you right now, finances has been an issue up and down, back and forth in my life this whole 46 years. Sometimes I do very well, and sometimes I just don't. And it's just time to do something different, honey. It's time to do something different. So that's what I'm doing. What you doing? I believe, honey, when you walk in your purpose, you inspire other people to walk in theirs. And I aspire to inspire until I expire. Again, honey, that's what I'm doing. What you doing? What you doing, boo? Y'all have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow.